Hello everyone, magandang araw po sa inyo. Sorry if I have to record ito pong ating session 8 ng ating pong pag-aaral dito sa Greek. Uh, may mga inasikaso lang po tayo. I hope na papanood niyo po ito and you still get to learn through this recording na ginagawa po natin. The quiz has been sent. Okay? Baka yung ilan po sa inyo as you watch this, natapos nyo na po yung quiz or yung iba po ay magti-take pa lang. Make sure na you send me a picture or i-upload nyo po muli doon sa ating Google Classroom yung inyong mga sagot before September 15. So again, tulad po ng instruction na nilagay ko doon, I will no longer accept any submission beyond September 15. So make sure po na maisisend nyo po ang inyong quiz on that day. So we will continue with our study dito po sa Introduction to Greek. At in this session po, ang atin pong pag-aaralan ay yung third declension. So kung matatandaan nyo po, napag-aralan na natin yung first and second declension. So ito na po yung pangatlo. So titingnan po natin kung ano ang nakapaloob dito po sa lesson na ito. So in this lesson, unang-una, we'll learn the third and final declension. Okay, yung kanya pong stem endings, lalo na po sa consonant. And yung 4 hints for the third declension, the master case ending chart, noun rule number 7. Okay, so tandaan nyo po no, ng mga previous lessons natin, we covered certain noun rules. So ito po sa lesson na to, i-cover na po natin yung last two. So noun rule number 7, that's the square of stops and the effect of a sigma on stops, and noun rule number 8. All right, so what is the difference between the first and second declension? So first declension words have stems ending in alpha or eta. And second declension nouns have stems ending in omicron. Kadalasan po, tulad ng atin pong inaral, the first declensions, these are the feminine nouns. Yan po kadalasan, di ba, they end in alpha or eta, while the second declension are mostly masculine or neuter nouns. And what declension a noun falls into has no effect on its meaning, regardless of whether apostolos is first or second declension, it still means apostle. So basically, ang importance lang po ng ating pag-aaral dun sa mga declension ay i-showcase, ay ipakita most of the time the gender. Alright? And yung mga stem endings po. Pero basically, hindi naman po nagbabago yung kanyang kahulugan. So, tulad yung sinabi rito, kahit saan po bumagsak o saang category po bumagsak yung word, yung noun na apostolos, lahat po yun ay pare-pareho lang naman po ng kahulugan. But as we know, apostolos is in the second declension. Yan po ay isang masculine noun. Nouns with stems ending in a consonant follow the third declension pattern. So, kapag yung noun po na ating inaaral, for example, di ba yung mga first and second declension kasi nag-end sila sa vowels eh. So you have alpha and eta for the second declension, tapos yung omicron nasa third declension. Now, nasa second declension. Now, sa third declension po, pag nasa third declension na, ito po yung mga noun na nagtatapos sa consonant. So this part of the first noun rule. So tingnan niyo po yung example na meron tayo rito. All right? So here's the word stark. Okay? Sark. And then plus yung ating stem ending na omicron and nu. So pag pinagsama po natin yan, it means sarkon, which means flesh, body, or human nature. So makita nyo po dito in this example, yung atin pong stem noun, ito po yung sark, it ends with the consonant, yung letter K or yung kappa, while the stem or yung suffix niya, alright, or yung stem ending niya, ganun din. It ends with a nu. Although it is joined by an omicron, by a sigma here. No, not sigma. It's omega, sorry. It is joined by an omega here. Nevertheless, nag-end pa rin po yung noun niya in this form po with a consonant. So this one falls under the category of a third declension noun. So when you first look at the paradigm of a third declension noun, you may think that it is totally different from a first or second declension paradigm. In fact, it is not, because the stem of a third declension noun ends in a consonant. That consonant sometimes reacts to the first letter of the case ending, especially if the case ending begins with a sigma. Tingnan natin kung anong kahulugan na. For example, the stem of the second declension noun logos is logo. The omicron joins with the nominative masculine ending sigma. So, tingnan niyo po yung dulo, no? Yung omicron and sigma to form logos. So, basically, that is logo plus sigma. Then you get logos. So, no problem. But the stem of the third declension word, for example, sarx. Okay, ito pong letra na to ay X sa English translation. Alright? So, C. Alright? So, the third declension word sarx is sark. Kita nyo po, konti lang yung difference. This is C, and then this is kappa. So, sarx and sark. The kappa is united with the same nominative singular case ending and the combination of kappa and sigma. Alright? So, forms X o yung C. So, that's sark plus sigma. So, you get sarx. Makikita nyo po, no, similar lang. Kung tiniyon nyo sa logos po, it's an omicron plus sigma. Pagdating po rito sa third declension, it's basically a consonant letter that is paired with a sigma. So, instead of, tignan nyo po, makikita nyo, dahil combine po, mamaya makikita natin yan, no? Na-combine yung kappa at yung sigma. So, instead of putting kappa, sigma there, ang ginagamit na po natin ay C. I see dahil yun po ang kapareho niya naman. Basically, pareho lang siya ng tunog. Yung sound na nabubuo ng kappa sigma pair ay pareho lang po dito sa C na letra ng Greek. While the ending of sarx may look totally different from that of logos, it really isn't. Diba? Hindi naman po ganun ano lang. Dahil may yung combination lang po ng dulong letra, yun lang yung medyo pinagkaiba. But basically, in essence, halos pareho lang naman po. So remember that all Greek nouns, whether they are first, second, or third declension, function the same way, right? Only their form may be somewhat different. So kahit saan siya mag-fall, again, na category, maybe first, second, or third, wala naman pong pagkakaiba sa kahulugan ng salita. At yung function niya naman po ay pare-pareho. They still function as nouns. Alright? Pero yung form lang po talaga. Yung itsura niya lang yung nagkakaiba. Doon lang po tayo nagkakadalo. Now, we have different case endings. So, tingnan po natin dito. The third declension does use a few case endings that are different from those used in the first and second declension. So, kasi sa first and second, di ba? So, you have omicron sigma, meron kang omicron nu, meron kang alpha, meron kang eta, meron kang oi, meron kang I na ending, and so on. So, yan po ang usual na case endings doon sa first and second declension. While for the third declension, it's a bit different. So if you have been memorizing the case ending with the final stem vowel, so example, omicron sigma, okay, and not sigma for nominative singular, you may want to go back and learn the true case ending. So tingnan po natin. So again, ang case ending po, alimbawa yung word na logo, okay? Sorry. Okay. Word na logos, all right? The case ending is not OS, all right? Because the omicron here is part of the stem, which is logo. Ang totoo pong stem ending natin dito ay yung sigma lang, all right? Ganon din po sa iba. Pag sinabi natin logon, all right? The stem ending is actually the nu, not ON. All right? Itong O po kasi na ito ay part po ng stem natin. So, and so on and so forth. So, ito yung sinasabi niya rito. You just have to memorize kung ano talaga yung stem ending niya and not include yung vowel na nandoon po sa unahan. Now, if you can remember just 4 hints, these changes will not be a problem. So as you will see, the basic issue is what happens when a sigma follows a consonant. So yun po yung tinitingnan natin. Paano kung si sigma, okay, ay nasusundan, okay, o sumusunod sa isang consonant. For consonant plus sigma. So yun po ang nangyayari. Titingnan po natin dito sa pag-aaral natin ito. So here are some of the hints we have. Number 1, because of the changes that take place in the nominative singular, it is often difficult to determine the stem of a third declension noun. Ano po yung sinasabi niya? Tingnan po natin ha. Now, the solution to this problem is always to memorize the genitive singular form with the lexical form. So if you drop the genitive singular case ending, for example, yung OS, okay, Omicron Sigma, you will normally have the word stem. Tingnan po natin ha. The lexical entry for, ito yung lexical entry po na sarx. Okay? Sarcos. It's a female. Ito, eta po yan. So, ibig sabihin po, sa pagkakagamit po nito, female. Okay? Shows that the stem is sarc. So, makikita nyo dyan na pagka yung lexical entry niya ay sarx. Pero kapag nakita po natin yung ibang form niya, nakikita niyo po nagbabago yung spelling. So sa halip na ganito ang mangyari, okay, sa halip na ganyan po ang mangyari dito, Omicron Sigma, hindi po ganoon, di ba? Ang nangyayari, nadadrop po yung C, napapalitan po ng kappa. So by doing that, it's easy to identify basically kung ano po yung pinaka stem nitong word na ating tinitingnan. Pangalawa po, whatever happens in the nominative singular also happens in the dative plural. So yan po, yung pangalawang hint natin. So ano man yung nangyayari sa nominative singular, it is the same thing that happens in the dative plural. This is because the dative plural case ending C also begins with a sigma. Tingnan po natin. Example, sarc plus sigma, it becomes sarx. Alright? Pero yung sarc plus C, ano po nangyari? Naging sarc-C. Sarc-C. So may kita nyo po ha. So nagdagdag lang po dyan. Na-drop lang yung sigma rito. Na-retain po yung combination ng kappa sigma. Okay, na naging C, pero yung iota na nasa dulo ay na-maintain. Alright? So, ito po kung sabi nga dyan, kung ano po yung nangyayari sa nominative singular, ganun din po ang nangyayari sa dative plural. So, these are the keys, alright, o yung mga bagay na kailangan nyo lang po tandaan in order for you to, you know, to make understanding the third declension nouns easier. Kasi for many people, this is a bit of a challenge. Pero pag nasundan po natin itong mga keys na ito, yung mga hints na ito, it will really help us understand ito pong third declension na ito. Pangatlo po, a nu drops out when followed by a sigma. Alright, so tatandaan nyo po yan. Tingnan nyo po yung example na to. So, tin plus C nagiging tis. Ano po ang nangyari? Okay, nawala po yung nu. Na-drop siya. Another example, ito po, na-retain yung dulo. So, tin plus C become TC. Alright? So, basically, kapag ka napansin nyo po yung, tawag dito, yung ganitong setup, na yung nu ay nasundan po immediately ng sigma. So kapag yan po ay inyong sinulat o yung halimbawa nakita nyo po, for example, yung itong word na tis. Okay, kapag una kasi sa umpisa medyo mahirap, ano, ba't ganito ang nangyari dito? Bakit naging tis siya? O baka we just look at it as it is. Pero mamaya pag chinek natin sa mga tawag dito yung mga dictionary, Greek dictionary, okay, lexicon, Greek lexicon. Minsan confuse tayo bakit yung lexical entry niya iba doon sa word na ating tinitingnan. So most probably ito po ang nangyayari dahil sa mga combinations na meron po rito. So kapag kapag ang nu ay nasundan immediately ng sigma, nawawala po yung nu. So na-retain lang po yung sigma. So again, tin plus C becomes tis or TC. Depende po yan sa pagkakagamit. And then, Number 4, a tau drops out when followed by a sigma or if it is at the end of a word. Tingnan po natin ito. Tau, ibig sabihin po, letter T ha. So, example, ayan yung OMAT plus C. Okay, OMAT plus C becomes onomasy. Sorry, it's onomat plus C becomes onomasy. Nakita nyo po, dahil yung tau at yung sigma ay magkatabi, ang basic rule po dyan, kapag ganyan ang nangyari, tulad kanina, dinadrop po natin yung tau. So sa halip na sabihin po natin na onomatsy, nagiging onomasy. Alright? And then another example here, so yung onomat. Kita nyo po rito, dahil nasa dulo po yung tau, eh pagdating po rito sa ano na to, na-drop na po yung tau, so naging onoma na lang siya. But if you wanna write onomat or onoma, acceptable naman kasi it's understandable na na-drop yung T pag ito ang ginamit niyo. But mostly ito po talaga itong form na to ang ginagamit diyan. Okay, dahil sa rule na ito, na kapag ang word ay nagtatapos sa tao, we just drop it. So nagiging onoma or anumang word yung inyong may encounter. This is a slight simplification of the situation, but if you can remember these 4 hints, the rest of the third declension is easy to learn. So here's the key for us to better understand the third declension. Memorize the 4 hints that we have. Okay, make yourself familiar to them. Okay, aralin po natin na maigi, tingnan natin ng maigi. If you can still cite some other examples po, mas maganda. Yung libro po na binigay ko sa inyo, yung pinadala ko po sa inyo, the PDF copy, the book by Mounds, alright? Meron po yung mga footnotes. So kung binabasa nyo po yung libro, may kita nyo po na may mga, sa mga footnotes po na yun, may mga additional explanation. So it will help you a lot na mas maintindihan po kung ano yung pinag-aaralan dahil po doon sa mga additional na explanation. Malaking tulong po iyon sa inyo. Since Greek has only 3 declensions, once you understand these, you will be familiar with all the basic noun paradigms in the New Testament. So work on these and you are well on your way towards success. But remember, any declension can have several variations. Okay, that's a possibility. So basically, ang sinasabi sa atin dito, kapag natandaan natin yung mga charts, di ba, yung mga inaral natin, yung mga tinignan natin, yung charts para sa nominative case, yung mga chart para sa accusative, may genitive at may dative. Pag familiarize po natin ang ating mga sarili dito po sa mga charts na ito, medyo maganda-ganda po ang laban natin. Ibig sabihin, mas nagagamay na po natin yung pag-aaral po ng Greek. Kasi doon naman talaga yan umiikot lahat eh. Yung mga form na yan. So kung mapapansin niyo, may matatouch natin ng konti uli yung tungkol sa article. Pero kung mapapansin niyo, yung noun ay kamukha lang din naman ng article. So hindi mahirap, halimbawa yung logo. So alam mo na ano ba dapat ang gamitin ko. So this masculine. So yun lang gagamitin mo, ho. So mga ganong bagay lang ba yung mga words na ginagamit sa Greek, makikitaan din naman po natin ng mga hints or ng mga clue surrounding them. So, pagka-familiar tayo sa mga chart na inaral natin, mas malaki po yung tendency na mas maging madali sa atin na unawain. If ever we come to that point na nagbabasa na po tayo ng mga Greek sentences, alright, it's gonna be easier for us. Okay, at mas ma-appreciate po natin ang New Testament kapag tayo po ay may capacity to read Greek kahit po simple lang. Kasi tulad ng sinabi ko, before pagka na-translate na po sa English, there are some essence doon po sa original translation na nalileft out. So it will help us a lot ito pong pag-aaral natin na ito. So following in the paradigm of a third declension noun, tingnan po nyo ito sarx. Okay, listed is the stem separated from the case endings and the inflected forms. Tingnan natin yung chart mamaya. So don't be frightened. Sarx really has only 3 case endings. So tandaan po natin yan para lang po sa word na sarx, okay? It only has 3 case endings you have not seen and 2 other endings similar to those you already know. So, ibig sabihin po niyan, yung iba, familiar na tayo. So, yung mga bago na lang po na talagang magugulat siguro tayo or hindi pa tayo familiar, ay tatlo na lang naman po. So at this point, don't try to memorize the case endings. Just see how they work. The paradigms of logos. Okay, sorry, this should be an ending sigma. The paradigms of logos and graphe are listed for comparison. Tingnan po natin ito. So here, for the word sarc, okay? So, kita nyo po rito, for the nominative singular, you have sarx. For the genitive singular, so you have sarcos. For the dative singular, okay, you have sarki. And then accusative singular, sarka. Tingnan po natin yung similarity, no? For the word logo. Okay, so logos, okay, logo, logo, logon. For graphe, graphe, graphes, graphe, and then graphene. Makikita nyo, yan lang yung mga comparison para lang medyo makita natin. Kasi ito po ay ito ay feminine, ito ay masculine. So you have the second declension and then here the first declension. At ito po ay yung third declension. So makita lang po natin yung comparison. For the nominative plural, okay, you have sarkes. For the genitive plural, you have sarcon. Kita nyo po itong part po na ito, similar po siya doon sa genitive plural ng masculine at ng feminine, yung second and first declension. And then for the dative plural, you have sarxine or sarxi, then logois, and then graphais. So yan po ang ano niya. And then for the accusative plural, you have sarkas. Ito naman po sa logo, you have logus, and then grapha. So this one and this one, they are a bit similar. Okay. Ito pong this one and this one, they are a bit similar. So, may kita nyo po, marami naman po silang mga similarities. So somehow, it will help us na mag-familiar. So, kasi magkakamukha lang naman, di naman po ganun kalaki ang difference. Halos pare-pareho lang din naman. So let's walk through this paradigm so you can see how easy it is. So let's take, for example, yung word po na sarx. Again, this means flesh, human nature, or body. So the normal nominative singular case ending is, sorry. When you add it to the stem, sorry, naku po, dito. I'll check the book. I'll correct this later, ha. So parang sa case ending niya, usually ito yung sinasabi na tingnan niyo po, sigma. That's sigma. Okay? So the combination, yung combination po ng kappa, that's kappa, ito po, sorry ha, kappa plus sigma. Okay, the combination of kappa in sigma is rewritten as C. Makikita niyo po, yan ang kanyang pag nire-write mo siya. So, sarc here plus the nominative singular case ending, which is sigma. Sigma po yan. That's not letter G. Okay. So, it becomes sarx. Now, for the word sarcos, so this one is a genitive singular case. Okay. Ending for first declension noun is sigma. Okay, so makita nyo, ganun din po rito, no? It ends with sigma. So you have graphes. So it's eta and sigma. And for second declension nouns, it's actually omicron. So yan po ang genitive singular. So which contracts with the final stem vowel to form U. So logo plus O, okay, plus omicron, it becomes logu. So para ang nangyari po, dahil double O na siya, pinalitan lang po ito. So tinap lang po itong O dito, ginawa siyang epsilon. So basically, that's logu for the genitive singular. Put those two case endings together and you have the case ending for the third declension. So basically, sa genitive singular, para po sa feminine, okay, which is the first declension, ang ending po ay sigma. Right? First declension, ang case ending sa genitive po yan na genitive singular. Ang first declension, ang case ending ay sigma. For the second declension, ang case ending po ay sorry, that's not sigma, that's omicron. So now, for the third declension, ang sinasabi po dyan, pagsamahin mo lang po yan. So you have omicron and sigma. So makikita nyo po yung example natin na sarx. Okay? Yan. Sarx. Now, if you want to change that into genitive singular, basically, you'll just have to add Omicron and Sigma, pero po yung ating C ay napapalitan naman po ng kappa. So, ito po ang magiging resulta niyan. So, SARC plus Omicron Sigma ending for the genitive singular. So, you get SARCOS. Next, SARCY. The dative singular naman po, kanina genitive, this one is dative singular case ending is the same as for the other declension. So, ang ending niya po ay iota. Alright, but because a third declension stem ends in a consonant and not a long vowel, okay, the iota cannot subscript. So, tingnan po natin, balikan lang natin ng mabilis yung chart natin kanina. So, kita nyo po, dative, no? So, ang case ending niya po ay iota. Okay, ang nangyari lang po rito, kaya para hindi iota yung kanya pong kanyang stem ending dahil ginawa pong subscript yung iota natin. Pero basically, pare-pareho lang siya. Those are all iota. So, SARCY, Logo, and Graphe, they are all end in iota, but the iota for the second and the first declension, they subscript. Sabihin po, nandun lang siya sa ilalim lang po. Pero pare-pareho siya. First, second declension, first, second, and third declension, they all end in iota para sa kanila pong dative singular. So makita nyo po, sabi dyan, the third declension stem ends in a consonant and not a long vowel dahil nag-end siya sa consonant at hindi long vowel, hindi natin kailangan i-subscript. Tatabi lang po natin siya dun sa ending. So from SARC, it becomes SARCY. That's for the dative singular. Now the word SARCA, this now is the accusative singular case ending. Okay, it's different for the third declension. Makita po natin, SARC plus alpha, it becomes SARCA. How is it different? Tignan po natin, balikan natin chart natin. For the accusative singular, it ends in alpha. Para po sa second and first declension, it ends with a nu. Makita nyo po, logon and then graphene. Para po sa accusative, ang ending niya po ay alpha. Alright, so tandaan po natin yan. For the nominative plural, so you have SARCES. Kanina po, di ba, SARC? So yung ating nominative singular. So for the nominative plural, ang case ending po ay different sa third declension. So makikita ninyo, SARC plus ES, ito po yung ating stem ending which signifies that the noun is in the nominative plural. So it becomes SARCES. Balikan po natin ng mabilis yung ating graph dito. So for the nominative plural sa third declension, the case ending is epsilon and sigma. All right, but for the masculine and for the feminine, yung second and first declension, ang ending niya po ay iota. So makita niyo po diyan, logo plus iota, logoy, grapha, okay, plus iota, so it becomes graphite. All right, so for the genitive plural naman po, this one is sarcon. As always, the genitive plural case ending is beautifully consistent. So pare-pareho lang siya. So ang ending niya po ay laging omicron nu. So sarc plus omicron nu, it becomes sarcon. So kita niyo po, ito yung sinabi ko kanina na magkakamukha lang eh. So, sa genitive plural, sarcon, logon, and graphon. Pare-pareho po siya. Omicron nu, and omicron. Sorry, omega nu, lahat po sa declension sa meron dyan. And then, the dative plural po, that is SARC. Okay, the dative plural case ending for a third declension noun is the exact opposite of the first and second declension and sometimes includes the movable nu. Okay, so instead of C, it could be sin. Because it begins with a sigma, whatever change we see in the nominative singular will also appear here. So tingnan niyo po, sarc plus sigma and iota, tapos meron siyang movable nu. So it becomes SARC or SARCIN. Yan po ang kanyang sorry, that's SARC-C and SARC-SIN. Sorry, we have to pronounce the letter X distinctly. Next, SARCAS for the accusative plural. Okay, it is different for the third declension. So makita nyo SARC plus alpha and sigma, it becomes SARCAS. Tingnan natin yung difference niya dito sa isa iba. So, kita nyo po, kanina yung dative natin, meron tayong movable nu. iota, and nu. Pero para po sa second and first, you have an iota and sigma. Ganun din po rito, iota and sigma. For the accusative plural, nakikita nyo, it ends with alpha and sigma. Medyo similar po rito. Ito kasi it ends with sigma and upsilon and sigma. So, yan po ang kanyang difference. So, again, you just have to memorize mga case endings po na iyon. Make yourself familiar. At kapag yan po ay nagawa natin, medyo mas magiging madali sa atin na intindihin. So, do not confuse this with the first declension word where alpha is part of the stem. Although the similarity may help you remember the case ending. Okay, kasi ito pong ano na to, itong alpha, hindi po siya part ng stem ending. Part po siya ng stem word. So, kaya hindi siya tulad dito na nag-e-end siya ng alpha and sigma. Ito po ay nag-e-end lang sa sigma. Pero, yun nga, sabi nga kanina dito, kung makakatulong po yan para mas matandaan natin, okay lang naman po. Wala naman pong masama. So there, that wasn't very difficult, was it? There are only 3 totally new endings. That's Omicron Sigma, Alpha, and Epsilon Sigma. And 2 that are similar. So C or Sin and Alpha and Sigma combination. You now know all the major case endings. So congratulations po. Kailangan nyo na lang po yan basahin. Kailangan nyo na lang pong aralin at somehow i-memorize. So now let me go through the formal presentation of the third declension. Forms. Number 1, sabi dyan, yung forms po. Third declension words are categorized according to the last consonant of the word stem. In the next slide, you will find that Sark's paradigm and then 2 more word paradigms of third declension words. Stems ending in mat. Okay, that's mu, alpha, and tau. And stems ending in nu. Those are 77 words. The case endings are separated from the stems to emphasize the similarities with the first and second declensions. We will learn a few more patterns in the next lesson. By the way, kung gusto nyo po makakita ng iba pang example no, ng mga ginagawa, kasi dito po, nasistick lang tayo usually sa isang word. Yun lang yung ating ginagamit for the entire lesson. The reason is para hindi po tayo malito. Eh, pagka marami kasing bagong mga words at bagong learnings, medyo nakaka-overload din po eh. So, nasistick tayo sa isang word. Now, if you wanna have more examples po, puntahan nyo lang po yung libro, basahin nyo lang po because we have a list of vocabulary there na pwede nyo pong gamitin. Tapos yun po yung pagpa-practice natin. No? Gamitin natin yung, meron kang isang word, tapos tingnan mo kung paano siya, anong itsura niya sa accusative, sa nominative, so on and so forth. Puntahan nyo lang po yung mga examples natin doon sa libro. So tingnan po natin. Here are the stem. So we have 3 here. Yung stem na sark, onomat, and tin. Tingnan po natin na. For sark muna po, nominative singular. Ito po yung singular, ito po yung plural. So for nominative singular, sarks. Genitive singular, it's sarkos. Okay? Dative singular, sarki. And then for accusative singular, it's sarka. Nominative plural, sarkes. Genitive plural, sarkon. Dative plural, that's sarksin. And accusative plural is sarkas. For onomat, tingnan nyo po, itong word naman na ito ang nagtatapos sa tau. So tulad ng inaral natin kanina, kapag yung word ay nagtatapos sa tau, dito po sa third declension, we drop it. Okay? So ayan po ang nangyari dyan. So drinap natin. Kaya sa nominative singular, sa halip na onomat, naging onoma. Okay? For the genitive singular, it's onomatos. For the dative singular, that's onomati. Accusative singular, that's onoma. Pareho po. So, similar lang dito. Okay? For the nominative plural po, okay, you have onomata. And then for the genitive plural, you have onomaton. So, ganun pa rin po. Kita nyo, very consistent po tayo sa genitive plural. And then for the dative plural, you have onomasin. That's onomasin. Alright? And the accusative plural, you have onomata. So same po, itong nominative and accusative natin. When it comes to the plural form, ganun din po pala sa singular. Pareho lang sila. Now for tin, ito naman po ay, mga stem, by the way, this is the case stem, this is the mat stem, and this is the nu stem. Alright? So, ang pinili po natin for the new stem ay yung word na tin. So, kita nyo po dito, naging tis. Okay? So, na-drop po yung nu, naging sigma siya. So, naging tis po siya. For the genitive singular, you have tinos. Dative singular, you have tini. And accusative singular, you have tina. For the nominative plural po, you have tines. Genitive plural, you have tinon. Dative plural, you have tisin or tc. And then accusative plural, you have tinas. Ito lang po, tandaan lang natin for the case stem, ito po ang pattern na sinusunod. For the mat stem, ito yung pattern. And then for the new stem, ito po yung pattern. Ito po siguro yung reason why many people dread ang third declension. Marami pong tao medyo they feel confused or they find it difficult na ma-familiarize po sila dun sa third declension. Kasi nga po, may mga stems na iba-iba po yung ending. Alright? So yun po siguro ang pinaka dreadful for many. But again, kung ikaw ay sanay mag-memorize, it will help you a lot. Pero kung hindi naman, just familiarize yourself. Siguro, habang kasi na-expose tayo dito sa ating inaaral, mas natutunan po natin eh. Especially for you guys, majority of you, I noticed na ang bilis nyo pong maintindihan yung ating pong pinag-aaralan. The first time we discussed about the Greek alphabet, sandali lang po, nag-gets nyo na agad. Not all people can do that. Siguro ilan po sa atin dito will attest na talagang it's a struggle. Pero it's a good struggle. Huwag po tayo magkukwit kasi again, it's really for our benefit. Now here, this is the interrogative pronoun. Tignan niyo po ha. Example who, yun yung mga WH words. The word interrogative, it means from the word interrogate, no, yun to ask questions. Yan po, ang tis po with an apostrophe on top, that is actually an interrogative pronoun, while tis without accent is the indefinite pronoun. So that is anyone, someone, anybody, somebody, those are indefinite pronouns. So both are formed from the same root, which is tin. The masculine and feminine are identical in form, and all genders are third declension. The change in the nominative singular is explained by the fact that new drops out when followed by a sigma. So kanina po yung pinano natin, no? Kasi commonly for the nominative, ang dinadagdag po natin ay sigma ending. O yung the ending sigma. Pero dahil nga po sinabi natin kanina na kapag ang nu ay nasundan po ng sigma, what happens? We remove the nu and we retain the sigma. So instead of tin, nagiging tis ang kinalalabasan. Tingnan niyo po rito, masculine and feminine, you have the neuter, masculine, feminine, neuter. So, ito po yung una, ito yung interrogative kasi meron siyang accent mark. So, don't be confused. This is an interrogative pronoun. At ito pong pangalawa, ito po yung indefinite pronouns. Okay? Wala po siyang apostrophe or wala siyang accent mark. So, isa-isayin po natin. For the masculine, feminine, and neuter, sa ito munang side na to, tis, tinos, tini, tina. Okay? Nominative. For the plural, you have tines, tinon, tisin, and tinas. For the neuter, you have ti, tinos, tini, and ti. For the plural form, you have tina, tinon, tisin, and tina. Very similar, konting difference lang po. For the indefinite pronoun tis, okay, ito naman po ang ano natin. For the masculine and feminine, you have tis, tinos, tini, tina, tines, tinon, tisi, and tinas. Very similar. Very similar. Dito po itong dalawang ito. Ang difference lang ay yung accent mark. That's the only difference. So, kapag nakita nyo po ang tis, okay, so mag-appear po siya. Tapos tignan nyo lang kung yung iota ba ay accented or not. Kapag accented, ito ay interrogative. Kapag hindi siya accented, ito po ay indefinite pronoun. For the neuter, you have ti, tinos, tini, ti, tina, tinon, tisi, and tina. Alright? So, tis is always accented on its first syllable. Tis as in the interrogative. Okay? Tis is either not accented or is accented on its last syllable, which we call the ultima. Ito pong tis na ito naman yung indefinite. Alright, tama ba yan natin? Correct, di ba? Right? So, tis without the accent, indefinite. Tis with an accent is interrogative. So, ace. Ito naman po. Ace is an adjective meaning one. The stem of the masculine and neuter is N, and the feminine is the first declension, Mia. In the nominative singular, the nu drops. It drops out before the sigma and the stem vowel. Tingnan po natin ha. The stem vowel epsilon lengthens to A. So, you have in N plus sigma, it's in the nominative singular, kaya po sigma. It becomes S. So, nawawala po yung nu. Hindi po natin sinasabi na ends. Okay? Instead, we say S. Okay? Or it becomes ace. So, yan po ang nangyayari. Ito pong word na ito, ang ibig sabihin po niyan ay one. So, nalilengthen lang po yung epsilon, nagiging iota siya. Okay, so here we have the forms. Tingnan po natin to. Dominative singular, you have haze. Kita niyo po, we have a rough breathing mark here. Okay, so as we all know, pagka may rough breathing mark, tayo po ay nag-a-add ng letter H. So, haze, henos, henny, and henna. Right? Here you have Mia, Mias, Mia, and Mian. Po ay hen, henos, henny, and again, hen. So notice that this word has a rough breathing in the masculine and neuter. This will help differentiate it from the prepositions ace and n. Why is there no plural to this word? Where is it different from tis? Tingnan po natin. In the first and second declensions, the masculine and feminine are often different in form. In the third declension, however, they are usually similar. There is, in fact, more similarity between masculine and feminine than there is between masculine and neuter. Since in the nominative and accusative, the masculine and neuter are usually different. So, tingnan po natin ito, itong characteristics naman po ng third declension nouns. Let's look at this. Okay, master case ending chart. It is recommended not to memorize the paradigms, but to memorize the case ending. So, yun lang po basically, case ending po. Kasi nagbabago-bago nga yung word. So, just memorize the case endings in this chart and see how the case endings appear when attached to a noun. Study them carefully. Okay? Note what they have in common and especially what they have in common with the first and second declensions. There are other patterns within the third declension, but if you know these, the rest are relatively easy to recognize. So, try to list all the similarities. Tingnan po natin. Here. You have here the first and second declension and then you have the third declension here. Puro po ito case endings ha. Itong tinignan natin na ito pong part na ito. This part, naaral na po natin ito. Yung mga first and second declension. Ito pong third declension, ito po yung tinitingnan natin right now. Alright? Allow me to erase this first. Okay? So, for the nominative singular, you see, you have yung ending sigma. For the feminine, wala po. As is yun. And then neuter, you have nu. For the genitive singular, you have upsilon, okay, sigma, and again an upsilon. For the dative singular, you have an iota for all of those. And then for the accusative singular, you have nu for all three. Sa pagdating po sa third declension, may kita nyo you have sigma here, tapos dito same lang. And then you have omicron sigma ending here. Then iota. So matatandaan niyo po no yung kaninang tinignan natin na for the masculine, okay? And ito pong sa first and second declension nagsasubscript po yung iota. Pero sa third declension hindi po. So accusative singular naman sa third declension you have an alpha or nu. So sa nominative plural po for first declension and first and second you have iota, and alpha. You have on, and on. Is, pare-pareho lang. Then us, sigma, and alpha. For the third declension, you have S, okay, that's a combination of epsilon and sigma, and then alpha. Then you have omicron and nu, then sigma and sigma and nu, yung movable nu po, and then again here, same. Sigma, C sigma iota plus movable nu, ganun din po rito. And then alpha sigma and alpha. So you have here, ito po yung chart na kailangan nyong i-memorize. Okay? Kailangan nyong i-familiarize ang inyong sarili para po mas maging madali ang ating pag-unawa. This one, sabi dyan, this is what endings look like when attached to the final stem vowel. So, ayan na po. Pag sinabi nating stem vowel, ay sa first and second declension, no, di ba yung kanina example natin, yung logo, di ba? So, nagiging logo siya. Ang stem ending niya ay yung sigma. Pero kapag in-attach natin siya doon sa stem ending na vowel, ayan po nangyayari. So, inisip natin os. So, example, ito po, tingnan nyo na lang. Os, u, o, and on. So, feminine, alpha, eta, alpha, eight, as, and ace, alpha, a, and, on, u, o, and on. So, nominative sa plural po, you have oy, I, a. On, on. Ois, ais, ois. Us, as, and a. For the third declension, you have sigma, os, iota, iota, alpha or nu, po, blanco. For the plural, you have s, epsilon, sigma, alpha, on, sin, as, and a. Po. So the gender of third declension naman. So the gender of third declension words can often be difficult to determine because the inflectional patterns are not as distinct as those in the first and second declension. So it's easier to figure out kung ano yung gender ng noun in the first and second declension because yun nga, sinabi doon, distinct eh. Diba, makita nyo yung alpha and eta. Yun po yung ginagamit natin sa first declension, which is feminine. So, pag nakakita ka ng noun na nagtatapos sa alpha o yung noun na nagtatapos sa eta, it's automatically masabi mo, ay, that's a feminine noun. That's in the first declension. Pero that's not the case for the third declension. Medyo yun yung challenge po dito. So, sabi dyan, you must memorize the gender of every word. Kaya kailangan medyo matrabaho na po pagdating sa third declension. There are, however, a few patterns. In this chapter, we will meet stems ending in mat. Okay, ito po. Yung kanina tigil natin, di ba? Tatlo yun. Yung K ending, yung kappa ending, yung mat ending, and yung isa pang ending, yung tis, di ba? Yung kanina, yung tis na ending. So, tignan natin yan ha. All these stems are neuter. The article becomes, for the article becomes especially important now. Even though a noun itself changes its form, the article always remains the same. So ito po ang ating magiging clue pagdating po sa pag-identify whether the noun is feminine or masculine, because you have the keyword or you have the clue. Okay, yung mga article. So for example, to will always be to whether the noun it modifies its first, second, or third. Hindi siya nagbabago. So most nouns are modified by the article and that makes it easy to determine the noun's gender. So kung ibig sabihin po, halimbawa lang, okay? So you have the word sarcos. Example lang po ito ha. Okay, yung word na sarcos. Sorry, sarcos. Okay. Omicron, and then stigma. Tapos siya po ay ang sinundan niya pong word ay to. Ayan. So makikita nyo, kung hindi po tayo sigurado dito sa gender ng noun na ito in the third declension, you can always check yung gender. Okay? Yung form ng article. Kasi most probably, yan po, hindi most probably all the time, yung ating pong article ay hindi nagbabago ng kanyang form. So yung form niya po for the first and the second declension, it's the same form for the third declension. This time, let's talk about square of stops. So a stop is a consonant whose sound is formed by slowing down or completely stopping the flow of air through the mouth. So stops are broken down into three classifications. Ano po ito? First, labial. Ito po ay importante especially sa pag-pronounce po, no? So you have here the pi, beta, and then you have phi. All right? So ito po mga letters na ito are formed by using the lips to impede the air flow momentarily. So may kita niyo po pag pinopronounce natin yung mga letters, diba? So meron siyang buga na tubig. Yeah. So ganun po ang nangyayari. So to try to say it without letting your lips touch. So yan po ang mga labial na tinatawag. Next is velar. These are the letters kappa, gamma, and chi or ki are formed by pushing up the middle of the tongue against the soft part of the roof of the mouth. So yung middle part ng tongue nagsumasahid po siya doon sa roof ng ating mouth. Pag pinopronounce po natin itong mga letters na to, kappa. So pansinin niyo po, kappa, nasaan po yung position ng tongue, di ba? Nakadikit siya. So kung ito yung roof ng tongue, okay, yung dila po nagtatouch, yung gitna ng dila nagtatouch doon sa part na yon ng ating mouth. Alright? Next, dental. Sabihin po, yung teeth. Okay, so tau, di ba? Sarado yun. Pag pronounce mo yung tau, your mouth is closed at yung teeth po natin ay nagdidikit yung taas at baba. So tau, okay, di nagdidikit. Actually, yung dila, okay, it presses against the teeth. Kaya siya nagiging dental. So tau, delta, okay, and theta. So pansinin niyo po, no, the tongue pushes or it touches the back of the teeth. Pag pinopronounce po natin itong mga letters na ito. So yan po ang kanyang, kaya siya tinawag na dental. So these are what you call the square of stops. So this is the 7th rule, yung square of stops. So the 7th of the 8 noun rules is this chart. Be sure to memorize it exactly. Not only should you be able to repeat it left to right, but also top to bottom. Tingnan po natin ha. For the labial, you have pi, beta, and phi. For the velar, you have kappa, gamma, and chi or ki. For dental, you have tau, delta, and theta. Square of stops. So the chart is important because the stops behave in a consistent manner. Whatever happens to a stem ending in tau also happens to a stem ending in delta because tau and delta are both dental. So yan po ang sinasabi natin kung bakit siya importante. So yung mga letters po that fall under labial, velar, and dental, they have the same case endings. Alright? Dahil sila po ay magkakatunog. Pare-pareho po ang way ng pag-pronounce sa kanila. If you learn the chart, you will be able to predict what is going to happen. This is much easier than memorizing different paradigms. This same square of stops will also be important when we study verbs. So a little time spent here saves hours of frustration later. Ang maganda po rito sa mga ito, hindi siya, kumbaga, you have to memorize it, pero by pronouncing it kasi, it already gives you a clue. So balikan lang natin yung kanina, 'di ba, yung labial, 'di ba, yung mga words na your lips touches when you pronounce them. 'Di ba, yung word na pie, 'di ba? Your upper and lower lips, they touch each other so that you can produce the sound. Pie, 'di ba? And yung phi, okay? And yung beta. Kita nyo po when you pronounce these words, your upper and lower lips touches. So, pagka ganun po, pag nakita nyo yung stem, let's say yung stem ending, for example, is pi, tapos yung isa po ay beta, tapos yung isa po ay phi, you can easily distinguish, okay, itong mga stem endings na to, pare-pareho dapat siya ng yung mga dinadagdag dyan sa dulo kasi nga, pare-pareho silang labial. Okay, ganun din po sa velar, ganun din po sa dental. So, stops plus a sigma. Okay, whenever a stop and a sigma come into contact, the results are predictable. Learn these changes well because you will encounter them often. Tingnan po natin for the labial. Okay, so labial plus sigma becomes psi. Ibig sabihin po niyan, okay? So, pi plus sigma, it becomes psi. Alright? So, ganun din po yung iba. So, if you have beta plus sigma, you have psi. When you have, that's phi, plus sigma, same, you have psi. For the velar, ganun po, pagka velar plus sigma, you have psi. Kanina po yung example natin, di ba, yung kappa plus sigma, yung word na sark. Di ba? Kappa plus sigma, you get psi. Ganun din po sa iba, yung iba pang mga velar. The same goes for all of these, okay? Dental, ganun din po. So, here are some examples. So, scolop. That's scolop plus sigma, it becomes scolops. Pareho lang yung sound niya, di ba? Pero we have a distinct letter kasi in the Greek alphabet for that sound. So, yun po ang ginagamit natin. So, yung example natin kanina, you have sark plus C, it becomes sark C. So, for the word onomat, you have C, it becomes onomasy. So, we just drop the tau. Yun nga yung rule natin, di ba? So, tau and sigma, when they come together, we remove, we delete the tau, and then we retain the sigma. Now, for the eighth rule of now, rule number 8, a tau cannot stand at the end of a word and will drop off. Ito po, nakita na natin ito kanina. Ito yung naaral natin. Sinabi nga natin na yung tau po ay hindi nga pwedeng nagtatapos. Yung word, okay, especially those that are in the third declension, hindi siya pwede magtapos sa tau. Pag nagtapos siya sa tau, okay, we drop that word, that letter, we drop tau, and then we retain the rest of the word. So instead of reading it, instead of you saying onomat, okay, we just say onomat. All right. This is the final rule for case ending. So now you know all 8. And congratulations. Alam niyo na po lahat ng 8 noun rules. Balikan niyo na lang po iyon. Now, we are about to end na po. Konti na lang ito for the word pass naman. So, pass is a 3-1-3 type adjective. It is often used as the paradigmatic word for the third declension. So, that's third declension first and then third. The root of the word is pant, which is the feminine, which in the feminine is altered to passa. Armed with this knowledge and the rules in this chapter, you should be able to write out the entire paradigm for this word without looking at the chart. Next slide. So try it if you can, then you are doing well. So practicein nyo po, downloadin nyo po itong material na ito, then try nyo pong gawin yan. Let's see kung kaya po nating ibigay yung iba't ibang form niya without looking at the chart. Pero for now, tingnan po muna natin ito. So you have here the 3-1-3 rule. Okay. Ibig sabihin po, third declension masculine, that's first declension feminine, and then third declension neuter. So for the nominative singular, pass, passa, and then pan. Genitive singular, pantos. This is panes, and then pantos. Dative singular, you have panty, and then passe, and then again panty. For the accusative singular, you have panta, then pasan, and then pan. For the plural form naman po, nominative, you have pantes, pasay, and then panta. For the genitive, you have panton, and then pason, and then panton. For the dative, you have pasin, then pasais, and then pasin. And then for accusative plural, you have pantas, pasas, and then panta. So ito po yung kanyang form for the word pass. Okay? Yan po ang ating sinusunod na chart. If you like to memorize paradigms, this is the one to learn. Not only does it show the first and third declension, but it is key for learning participles later. Yung participles po, maaralin natin pa when we look at verbs. Okay? Yan po, mamakover po natin yan. Because past is an adjective, it can function substantively. Remember po yung substantively, yung substantive, Inaral po natin last week. When it does, it may require the use of an additional word like people or things. But unlike other adjectives, past usually is in the predicate position. So when modifying a noun. So example po, pas ho anthropos. Okay, pas ho anthropos. So ito po, ho anthropos. Okay, that is your man. And then so pas, it means every. So when you say pas ho anthropos, it means every man. Right? Categories. Adjectives fall into 4 categories depending on which declension they follow. And whether the feminine and masculine forms are the same or different, the masculine and neuter always follow the same declension. So we meet the 2-1-2 and the 2-2 patterns in the past declension or past lessons. Tignan nyo po 2-1-2, 3-1-3, 2-2, and 3-3. Masculine, feminine, neuter. Kaya po siya 2-1-2. Okay? Tignan nyo lang. So, agathos. Okay? Third declension, pasapan. Second declension, ionios. Sorry. That's ionios. And then third declension is tis or ti. Article. There are 2 special situations concerning the translation of the article that we need to look at. Ano po ito mga ito? First, the article in Greek is much more than just the word the. It is a weak demonstrative, which means it can perform as a demonstrative pronoun. So that, or a relative pronoun, which is who. Or even sometimes a personal pronoun, he or what. Kita nyo po, no? Sa English, yung article po, it's really limited to the same function. Okay, so ginagamit siya for specification, okay, or to specify, okay, certain nouns. On the other hand, sa Greek po, ang article ay nagpo-function in different ways. Sa English po, ang ating demonstrative pronoun, okay, ito yung mga th, that, this, those, and so on. Alright? Pero sa Greek, ginagamit din nila yung the for everything. On the yung isa naman po yung relative pronoun, you have the WH word, so who, which, those words, okay? Sa Greek po, pwede rin nilang gamitin yung article na the in the same function. So very malawak ang gamit ng article po sa Greek language. You will usually have to add a word into your translation to help such as who or which. Let the context determine which is appropriate. So, dali naman po yan, who para sa tao, which para po sa bagay or other things. When you find the phrase ho day, that's ho day. Ayan, follow po yung reading mark. So, that's ho and then they. The article is usually functioning as a personal pronoun, which means but he. The word they, ito po ay, ang ibig sabihin po niyan ay but. Okay? Ngayon po itong word na ho, commonly, sa mga inaral po natin nakaraan, pag nakita niyo yung ho, that is an article. Diba? It's automatically a the. Pero in this case po, it means he. Okay? So, ho they means but he. Ito po ay kadalasan na nangyayari. So, marami pong pagkakataon na makikita ninyo na yung ho, okay, the article ho plus yung conjunction, okay, na they are put together. Kapag ginagamit po yung article that way, then it's translated as it is used as a personal pronoun. So sometimes you will find the article before a prepositional phrase. Tingnan niyo po, article before a prepositional phrase. So pag sinabi natin prepositional phrase, a phrase that begins or that is introduced by a preposition. Tingnan po natin ito, pasin, toys, and te oikia. Again, that's pasin, toys, and te oikia. So tingnan po natin yung next slide, no? That the article is showing you that the following prepositional phrase, which is ente oikia, is in an attributive relationship to pasin. Nakikita po natin yan later. It is the same type of relationship that we have seen with adjectives. So article, noun, article, modifier. Only here, the modifier is a prepositional phrase. Ito po, ito yung modifier. Ibig sabihin ng modifier, it describes or it gives additional information to the noun. So in order to translate this construction, you will normally turn the prepositional phrase into a relative clause and supply whatever words are necessary. So makita nyo po, no, to all who are in the house. So ito po ang ating, yung kanina, yung ente oikia. Yung kanina pong example natin, yan. Ente oikia, it means in. Okay, you have this, the article the, and then oikia. Alright, so in the house. So dito po para siya ay maging attributive na adjective, dinadagdagan po natin yan. Ito po sa simula, makita nyo, who are. So may gamit po tayo. So to all who are in the house. Sino po ang dinidescribe? At sino po ang tinutukoy ng prepositional phrase na ito? Ito po ang word na all. Alright? So yun po ang ibig sabihin ng phrase na pasin, toys, and te oikia. Okay? To all who are in the house. That's the meaning of it. The article will be in the same case, number, and gender as the noun. This way, you can tell what word the prepositional phrase modifies. All right, so that's all for today. So again, I want you to go ahead and review ito pong lesson na ito so that mas maunawaan po natin ng maigi. If you have questions, you can send me a message doon po sa group chat or doon mag-PM po kayo. Once na makita ko po yung message at ako po ay libre, sasagutin ko po agad yung inyong tanong. But pag hindi po, just wait for ano lang po. Basta once na makita ko, sasagutin ko po agad yung question. Ito pong material na to ay uploaded na po sa ating Moodle, okay, sa ating online platform. So you can go ahead and check it out. Ito pong video na to. Once Leia has is done editing this and polishing it, this will be uploaded as soon as possible. So I'll see you in our next class. Okay. By the way, I'll give you a heads up na po. We only have 2 more lessons remaining. Okay, dahil ano ko po yan eh. Kasalanan ko po na hindi tayo nakapag-meet ng 2 weeks. So hindi ko na po yung sisingilin sa inyo. Akin po iyon. So we only have 2 more sessions left. So payagan nyo na lang po ako mga kapatid na gamitin yung last 2 lessons para ituro pa po sa inyo yung ilang topics dito po sa ating pinag-aaralan. Hindi na po natin makukover yung verb, yung usaping verb. So it's good that you have the book so you can study on your own. Pero yung atin pong huling lesson, ibibigay ko na lang po sa inyo yung exam natin. We will meet for the last time pero that would be for the exam. So it means we still have after this, we have session 9, okay, 10, okay, 2 more left, and then 11. The 11th session will be our exam. Okay, yung ating pong final exam, and then we will conclude ito pong ating pag-aaral ng Greek. So, ayun po, maraming salamat and I pray na kayo po ay patuloy po na pagpalain ng Panginoon, and I pray na ito po ay nakakatulong po sa bawat isa sa atin para mas maging epektibo po na teacher, preacher, and students of the word. Salamat po. God bless you. And see you in our next lesson.